Hi guys, I just wanted to do this video I've seen a lot on YouTube called My Life in 5 Riffs, where famous artists go through 5 riffs that kind of define them or change their life as they went along. And I'd kind of like to do something like that today. I remember when I first bought my first guitar, I was working at a little store called Roses in East Albany, and I'd went to Rockies here where I live in Albany, and it was downtown at the time, and I actually put the guitar on layaway, and I think it was $150 black and white Squire Strat, and it took me forever to figure it out and how to tune the thing and all that good stuff. But I remember at the time it was 96, and I just kind of messed with it and didn't really know anything, and I kind of learned bits and pieces of stuff. But one day me and my buddy Zane Brown got together, and he kind of taught me about detuning a guitar, which is just taking your E string and tuning it down to a D, where you have this open, makes a nice D sound. Well, at the time in 97, I saw a band at Thomas University, and that band would later become Creed. And I remember their first popular song, "My Own Prison," and it was in D tuning, and we got the tabs, and I showed up at the flea market where Zane worked, and we worked it out, and the riff goes something like this. I remember when I first learned that, I just thought it was the tits, man. And we played that song over and over and over, and I just fell in love with drop D. And that's the first riff. So my second riff is kind of hard to pick one from this group because they've got so many. When I was growing up, they were the college band at the time, and I remember my sister bringing home their first CD, Under the Table and Dreaming, and I'm like, well, who is this group? And I heard violins and saxophone and acoustic guitar playing and drumming, and I was just like, this is amazing. This is amazing stuff right here. And I think one of the first riffs, I think me and a buddy named Josh Romero showed me, a guy from Tifton, Georgia. It went something like this. And I remember, if you could play any Dave Matthews at that time on acoustic guitar, you might would pick you up a date for the night. I mean, you might catch the eye of a young lady. But so many good songs from that band. Satellite, I still struggle to play that one. I've tried it over and over, and I just can't get it. Line Our Graves, Crash Into Me, Lover Lay Down. All these riffs are great, but the Jimmy Thing riff just had a doo 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 doo. Just kind of had this swing to me, and I really liked it. Well, this next riff is probably one of the simplest riffs out there, but I chose it because it meant a lot to me. I remember seeing this band perform in '95 in the rain at spring break in Panama City. And they played this song in the rain, and it just, I'd already loved the song before, and it happens to be the very first song probably most of us learned that are my age, that graduated in '96, and it's by a group called Bush, and then the song is called Glycerine. And it was kind of the Wonderwall before Wonderwall. Everybody I know played this song because it was so easy. And it's just bar chords. It's but that everything's in what was it 16 Stone. It's one of the top alternative CDs that was out there at the time, and we would just play that riff over and over, and it's basically the whole song just about. But big ups to Glycerine. This next riff is from one of the greatest alternative bands, a greatest bands of all time, period, with one of the greatest lead singers of all time. And like I said, growing up when we did, it was Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. And this is what made me want to get the guitar, was these bands, and just how hard driven some of the songs were, and just anger, and it felt like we felt. But the song was a B-side song, actually, and it came on, I believe, the Jeremy single. And I remember I went to Tifton at a place called Peppermint Music that was actually a music store that sold CDs, and I bought the Daughter single, not for Daughter, but for Yellow Ledbetter. And when I heard that song, it just amazed me. And I heard these things, and I'd listened to Jimi Hendrix a lot, and I said, "Whoa, this is like Little Wing." It reminded me of the chordal structures, a lot of that Little Wing stuff. And I said, "Oh man, I'll never play that." And I just would never touch it, and I would never try to play it. And then I think one day when I got serious about it, I kind of went over it and said, this is basically a 3-chord song with some embellishments. I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's E, A, B, in the Hendrix style, where he puts his thumb over the bar chords, and he can do all this stuff. But my hands aren't that big. I can't do the thumb thing. So what I do is just what I can with it. And, this is one of the best songs, and it's Yellow Ledbetter. I mean, you might not can understand the lyrics, but you felt something when this song came on. The guitar, the music, the feeling, Vedder singing. You might not have known the subject matter, but it did something to you. It did something to you right here. And that's why I'd like to play this for you. I just thought it was amazing, and I had just learned that part over and over and over, and the basic rhythm. And the 3-chord thing and the 1-4-5 and all that stuff. I mean, it was just so beautiful and so simple to me. You can do so much with that riff. You can just go in and out of this riff and all around it, and just make it your own thing. And later on I fooled around with the whole You know, that whole around the Hendrix shape E chord, right here, and you can riff on it and come in and out of it. And it's just, I mean, I can't say enough about it. It's just one of the greatest riffs. And picking five riffs is probably the hardest thing ever. It's usually what I'm listening to at the time, and I'll go back in time and I'm like, oh, I want to learn this song. I've never learned it, or this is something that I want to rehash. I mean, there's so many. Growing up, oh man, there's just so much stuff out there. Blues. I mean, I hate I'm going to leave any blues off, but Mike Tappan, I have to give a lot of credit to him. The only blues that I knew of was Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I met him in Valdosta, and he was a big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan, and he would just give me this music to listen to, and we would just geek out on like this underground blues stuff. And he's like, "Oh, have you heard? If you like Stevie Ray Vaughan, then you'll like this cat, or you'll like Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, Buddy Guy." There's so many I'm forgetting right now. Freddie King. Oh, Freddie King, fabulous guy. And I hate that I'm gonna leave any out. I really do. There's such great ones, but for me, I'm a big in between blues rock guy. I really don't know where I fit. And I love David Gilmour. Absolutely love him. Probably, I thought at first, Jimmy Hendrix and Jimmy Page were it for me growing up. I first got a physical graffiti tape from a friend of mine named Matt Singbell, and that was my introduction to Led Zeppelin. And I loved Black Dog, Dancing Days, No Quarter, all those, such good riffs. And I'm gonna leave them out, and I'm sorry, I apologize. But lately, I've been going back to a lot of Pink Floyd, and the first time I heard this song, and it was so emotional to me, and I learned the little intro solo, and that's the riff I'm gonna play for you right now. I mean, wish you were here. It's just awesome. I know I'm kind of off. It's been a while since I played some of this stuff. But yeah, man, growing up, I had a mother who listened to Motown, so I liked all the, all the funk James Brown type stuff. And later on, when I learned guitar, I was like, oh, well, it's 9 chords. You're 9 chord and what have you. And the recording artist at Stax and other places like that, Steve Cropper, Booker T and the MGs for one, and was a big influence on me now, actually, a little more than he was. But so I had Motown and R&B from my mom growing up, and my dad always liked heavy rock. He was into Sabbath and little into Zeppelin and Aerosmith and stuff like that. So I was fortunate enough to grow up myself with a different variety of music. I had his love of rock from the late 60s, early 70s, and my mom's love of Motown. And when I'm growing up in the 80s, I'm listening to The Cars. I'm listening to Prince, Duran Duran, Michael Jackson, and I'm getting all this pop stuff too. So yeah, I grew up with a lot of music, and I love it. And that's my life in 5 riffs.